This video is sponsored by Full Reptile Collective, brought to you by Dan Hardy. Head over to their website at fullreptile.co.uk where you can find anything from training gear, t-shirts, hoodies, all the way to coffee. For an exclusive 10% off, use Dan Said So at checkout. Make sure to also check out their YouTube channel for some of the best MMA content out there, bar my own. Let's get back to the video.
Right, this is MMA 25. It's 25 times I've done this now. Been meaning to talk to you for a while anyway, because I think I got brought to your attention through Eric's gear.
Yeah.
Those guys are like a big fan of yours, and I know Mason down at the British MMA scene, who obviously tracks everybody.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of topics and a lot of things to talk about, and I had people send questions as well.
Okay,
So yeah,
question.
yeah. Because as I told you, I don't like the word interview. It's more just chin wags, just a chat.
Yeah.
Make it less boring for you. But first thing I want to say is, how damn hard is it to get a fight for you? That's straight away.
That would be a long conversation here, but it seems to be pretty hard, and I don't really know why, because it's been like this for years and years and years. It's literally since like 2018. There was like a period of time of like 3, maybe 4 years when I literally couldn't get a fight, whether it was like MMA or kickboxing or Muay Thai even. Like every time I accepted a fight, it was either a pull out or something happened. Then obviously Corona happened, so that kind of like extended that. And then after all of this, obviously I got matched so many times, went through so many full camps, and I never actually got to fight again. Then I got to fight in October, finally, after all these years of trying. And then I thought, okay, this is it. Like now I'm back in. Like it's gonna be easy to get more fights. It'll be pretty smooth from now on. That's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had quite a few matches after that. And yeah, unfortunately, there was a couple of times where it was kind of my fault. Once I was in a hospital, I had a surgery, and I couldn't recover from it in time, so I had to pull out. Second time I got injured in a grappling match a week before my fight. I had a torn meniscus and a torn rotator cuff. And even though I wanted to fight, like my coach didn't allow me, so
Yeah.
that was kind of peak. But yeah, the rest of the fights is just like bullshit happening, really. Like it's not like legit pullouts where something happens, like injuries or something prevents that person from fighting. It's things like not making weight when you know you're not gonna make weight, or just pulling out because you don't feel like fighting, and then I see you fighting someone else on the same card. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know you were scheduled to fight Belander at Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
And that was so that I'm assuming is an example of bullshit just happening.
Oh yeah,
and you're so ready for it.
It's not just the first time she fucked someone over like that. Like she's
Yeah.
done that with other girls before, because I got messages from other girls saying that this is kind of a strategy. Bear in mind, she's got a belt at lightweight, and she wanted to fight for the bantam belt, for the bantam title, which is obviously 2 divisions below. So I was like, are you sure
Yeah.
you're gonna make weight? And I was like, yeah, for sure. So contract signed and all that. And then 10-12 days before the fight, her camp gets in touch with my manager saying that she can't make weight, she's 145. So we're like, okay, cool, let's do catchweight, no problem. But because of the previous like issues with her weight and all that, when she comes in like 5 kilos over and stuff, and you kind of like, well, let's make the fight happen anyways.
Yeah.
My manager asked them to send a video of her weighing in 145, and they didn't do that. They refused to do that. So obviously she was a lot heavier than that. And I see her fighting at feather. So
yeah. At this level, if they do pull out, is there like a clause that protects you in any way? Like, do you get? I know amateur, not necessarily. I don't know with Cage Warriors amateurs if you get paid or not, because normally with amateurs you don't.
Not really, you don't get paid. No, there's nothing there. That's something that I brought to people's attention before, that there should be something there, because I know a few guys that, especially when they fought at amateur, like they always kind of got matches at flyweight, but they never really like weighed in at flyweight limit. They would always ask for like 60 kilos literally 2 days before the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Which kind of puts the other girl in a bad position, because I knew the other girls as well, and they would be on weight, almost on weight already, very close to it, and the other girl would literally basically ask for fighting at bantamweight, because a lot of people fighting at bantam weigh in at 60 kilos. I weigh in at 60 point something when I had my bantam fight. So it's kind of unfair. Like obviously, like if that happens once, there's loads of factors that come into, especially when you're female. It's quite difficult to make weight. There's a lot more factors than just being a guy. So if that happens every now and then it's really not your fault, then fine, like shit happens. But if you notoriously miss weight and it's just ridiculous. Either you can either go up, or like there should be some sanctions, or there should be at least some sort of form of note on Tapology saying this person's literally missing weight like every time. So
Yeah.
be prepared.
So it's only only the organization, the inner circle like you who have actually signed a contract know that. So if someone does fight, say Belanda in the future, I know you'll be messaging them saying, just so you know,
That's literally what I did.
Yeah, there you go. So exactly.
Yeah.
But at least you can get grappling fights. That's a good sign, because
You
we
know
saw you
what?
last
Like,
time out. And
even that was quite difficult this year. Like
is
it
that because of
definitely
the level you're at? Because
it
your
took
grappling
a
is
lot
extremely high
longer.
level.
No, I don't know, but it took a lot longer to get even grappling matches this year. I haven't actually had anything going on until like May. That was like my first kind of competitions this year, and that's ridiculous because usually I'm someone who literally like competes every week, every other week. You know, I like to keep active.
Yeah.
And then there was literally like everything I got offered, like someone pulled out or something happened, or the show got cancelled or whatever. Even the Grapplefest matchup, I was originally scheduled to fight someone completely else. And I got offered an MMA fight pretty much the same weekend. But because the grappling match was a much better, like higher profile, me and my manager decided, okay, let's not do the MMA fight. Let's do the grappling match in this case, just because it's much better. But then this person unfortunately had to pull out. Not, it wasn't dependent on her, so I'm not blaming her at all. And hopefully we can run in the future. But then obviously like Julia, the opponent I fought on Grapplefest, that wasn't my original opponent. That was someone who stepped in on like 2 weeks notice. So yeah, grappling is not that easy either.
It's just, do you think it's because of the level of MMA experience you have in particular, or do you think like if you had 2 or 3, 4 fights, it would be easier to get fights then? Do you think it's the matchmaking that's hard, trying to find someone also making a debut or maybe 1 or 2 fights in?
It's interesting because obviously I've been training like combat sports for a while. Like, I started training Muay Thai when I was 17. It's going to be like 12 years now, on and off. But in terms of MMA, I don't actually have that much experience. Like most of the girls I'm trying to get matches with, they've got a lot more fights on me. Like I'm officially only 1-0. I'm like 1-1, whatever. I had a couple of MMA fights, one like properly sanctioned one. So this is nothing. And then I get matched with guys that are like 3-0, 4-0, 2-0, and they're saying that, oh no, this is not a good matchup because I've got too much experience. And it's like, what do you mean by that? I literally don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, like I decided I'm gonna go pro quite a while ago. And we both agreed with my manager it would be just nice to get at least like one more amateur fight in, but we kind of gave up on it because we couldn't get anything. And then we decided let's look for like pro matches. So we started doing that. I was meant to make my pro debut on Fightstar. That didn't work out because they couldn't find anyone. There was some issues with opponents and this and that. So I got convinced to do one more AMI because they found someone at AMI. So I'm gonna do one more amateur, and then hopefully we'll find someone for pro debut.
And I'm assuming at this point you don't even care who it is. It's just give me
Oh,
a
no.
name. Yeah.
Not really. As long as they make weight, as long as they show up.
As long
I'm
as they
fine.
make weight, yeah.
I just want to fight. Like it's been so many years that like I've been doing fight camps and weight cuts for like fights that never happened. That I'm really fed up. I need to like move forward.
But that's the thing. The battle arena fight you had, where one thing you dominated so quickly as well. Got the outside trip, knee on belly, straight to mount, destroy. My favorite thing. Hate knee on belly, but that I'm assuming that's not your first attempt at trying to get a fight either. Like you must have had so many cancellations before that, and it's not something that's normally brought up.
Before that, it was like 4 years of me being constantly like pushed to the side, constantly preparing. Like the thing is, I've always been pretty much for the last 2 years. I'm non-stop in the fight camp because there's always something I've got booked in, but it just never happens. So
if you follow your social, it's just consistent.
I can't even chill. I can't even take time off and like go away or like have a nice holiday or something because I constantly have to like get straight back into it. Even after that fight, I was literally like that was on Saturday. We came back like late Saturday night. Monday evening I was sparring. Monday morning was training. Monday evening I was sparring, and like I remember my coach came up to me like almost at the end of sparring. He was like, "Oh, by the way, take a week off."
And you're like, no.
There was already something else kind of booked in, but that obviously never happened.
Oh, that's gutting. No, I do hate it. But do you have any information on the opponent you're meant to be facing in this next amateur fight then?
Yeah. So I've known who I'm fighting for quite a few weeks now. It's a girl from Belgium. And she's 2-0. That's all I know. I think there's one fight of her on YouTube that I've watched, which is confusing because it's with pro gloves on. So I don't actually know if it's gonna be amateur
Okay.
or pro. I don't care. Like whatever she wants to do, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But it's just quite confusing. So yeah, like and me and my coach watched that fight. But to be honest, it's hard to judge someone by like one fight from like years ago as well. So
Yeah.
I'll just go into it like with kind of fresh mind and like prepared for everything as always. I don't tend to like over analyze my opponents beforehand.
Yeah. And saying as you said there, when you're 17, you started Thai boxing.
Yeah.
Would you say the striking element of the game is your bread and butter, or would you say it is now become the grappling?
This is a very interesting question. It's
Or are
funny
you
because
or are you complete? Are you just complete?
well, that's what I'm aiming for. This is my goal. But obviously there's always some gaps in the game that I'm constantly working on. And I kind of like flow because a lot of people like when they talk about me and my fights and stuff, they always think of me as a grappler. And this
Mm.
is funny because I've only done grappling for like 6 years, and only because of MMA, and only because I was really shit at it. So it's not like I'm a grappler. I do enjoy grappling, but I kind of go through like phases. There's the phases where I really enjoy grappling and I really get into it and I'm like loving every session and I really feel good, inspiring and that. And then there's phases when I kind of start enjoying striking more and I focus on that more. And I kind of float between. Obviously, I do everything still, but I float between like what I prefer. At the moment, I've been like I've fallen in love again with striking. I'm really enjoying like my kickboxing. I've started training in a couple of other gyms where sessions are super intense, and that intensity is something I miss. Like the striking intensity is something you can't really get from grappling. Like no matter how hard you go in grappling, it's kind of different feel. Like
Yeah.
obviously, not getting punched and kicked in the face. It's different kind of like I don't know, responses in your mind, in your nervous system, in your body. In response to that. So I don't know. I'm just like I like to believe that I'm improving technically with my striking right now, just because I'm enjoying it so much and I'm putting so much energy into it.
Yeah.
But I'm still wrestling, I'm still grappling, I'm still doing all of it. It's just I prefer striking right now.
Where have you been around? I'm assuming you're traveling around London or the whole country, or when you're going to different gyms.
Both.
Both,
So
yeah.
like it's funny because obviously I used to live in Brighton and just commute to London for training and that would take me like 4 hours a day, and then I moved to London just to avoid all of this commute, and then sooner or later I realized that I'm actually spending the same amount of time or more commuting between the gyms in London.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's quite a few gyms that I do train in London. I like to mix it up. And whenever I go up north, I like training in like places like Manchester, Liverpool, like North, like all sorts of gyms. There's really, really good coaches all over UK. So it's nice to mix it up sometimes.
Yeah, especially in London. I mean, when I was doing jiu-jitsu or Thai boxing, it was like going to like Fight Factory to shoot fighters to wherever, just like in a little thing. And I thought Fight Factory got a good Jeremy Petley, who you know obviously,
Yeah,
don't you? So he's wicked. So
yeah,
there's a lot of good coaches out there, isn't there? So
100%.
yeah,
And obviously, we've got Matt Inman from SBG in
yeah,
Manchester. He moved down to London now, so he's being one of my main coaches. He
yeah,
trains with me both at London Grapple and at New Wave. So it's nice to have that too, because he's honestly like a very very high level of fighter and a coach. So it's nice to have that.
yeah. The knowledge is there, isn't it? So
Yeah, 100%.
anything you need. What has it been like as well working with? I'm gonna name drop Peter Miller in this
Oh,
because
amazing!
yeah,
Honestly,
condition nutrition himself.
that was a major game changer. And I'm super grateful to have him like support me and help me with my nutrition. I'm someone like I've had like massive issues with my nutrition in the past. I've had eating disorders since I was like 6 years old, like all the way through my 20s. So like being a fighter doesn't really help when you constantly have to step on that scale and you constantly have to like watch your weight and everything. It's kind of hard. And then I've worked with loads of nutritionists. Some of them were good, but a lot of them didn't really help me much, and I felt terrible cutting weight with some of them. And
Yeah,
then when I started working with Peter, that was like a massive step up. Like my body composition has changed massively. My relationship with food changed, and like I trust him completely. Like whatever he says, I do. I follow the plan, and even when sometimes it's just like my body's doing mad things, and I'm like,
yeah,
why? Why is this happening? How am I eating like 1,200 calories a day and I'm gaining weight rather than losing it? And
yeah,
he's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, your body is mad too, but let's see, let's trust the process. And we always make it, like some cuts are harder than others, but obviously I fight at like all sorts of weights as well. So whatever that weight is, I always make it, and I always feel well the best I can considering everything. And it's definitely the best nutritionist I've ever worked with.
Yeah. Do you follow his advice? When I spoke to him, he was saying he doesn't like fighters going over a certain benchmark of their normal weight. And you've seen, like, for example, like a Paddy Pimblett, you know, he blows up to 200 pounds and becomes Fatty Pimblett. Yeah. Like, and I know he's saying, like, when Jordan Vucenic came out of his title fight, it was, you know, minuscule. Bit by bit, he goes back to his normal weight. It's not a radical instant thing. Is that the same with you as well? Or do you, like, because you're always in training, essentially, do you always maintain ridiculous physical shape anyway?
I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. I wish it was, but
the Instagram says different. Yeah.
I tend to always try to stick to the meal plan. Obviously, there'll be like a day every now and then where I'll just like, you know, go out and have some food or something, especially if there's no pressure from, you know, like having competitions anytime soon. But I like to stay close to my fighting weight as much as I can, because obviously if there is like an opportunity at short notice, I don't want to feel like, oh, I really want to do it, but I can't because I'm fat. That's kind of like the shitless feeling. So I try to stay in shape like all year round. But obviously, like, I know with him as well, even being a little bit further away from that, we can go down. So I stay at like a healthy weight where I can still train loads and I'm fairly lean. So it's like a safety buffer, because obviously if I was too close to my fight weight all the time, with the amount of training I do, that just, you know, ask for injuries basically.
Yeah, and the aim is to, I'm assuming, to stay at bantamweight. It's to make a path through there,
so,
or is it to go featherweight or
no,
lower? The other way. The other way. I was thinking you wouldn't want to cut more weight, would you? But
no, so I'm actually I've always been quite small for bantam.
Okay.
Like I tend to only cut about a couple of kilos to fight at 61, because when I'm in like good shape and I'm actually like doing the diet right and everything is going well, I walk around like 63 kilos. So fighting at bantam is kind of like an easy cut. Whereas I always kind of aimed to fight flyweight at pro. So because this is the next step, my next fight, whether it's Ami or pro, it will be at flyweight.
Okay.
So at the moment I'm cutting to fly, which is gonna be a big cut, and I'm very interested in how that's gonna go. But yeah, I trust Peter, you know, so I know we're gonna make it. But the funny thing is, like, if I was to choose my division, I would like to fight at 59. And I know there's only one show in the UK that actually has that division. It's Cage Steel. They've got Superfly 59 kilos, and I think it makes a massive difference, especially for women. Like having that weight like by 3 kilos makes, or like a couple of kilos makes such a big difference, because the gap between 57 or 56 and a half and 61 is huge when you're a female and you're quite small already. So I think it will be good to make that change and just add that extra division. It would change a lot, because I'm too small for bantam, but cutting to fly is kind of a drag. So something in between would be perfect.
Yeah. There's always those tweeners. That is one of the major issues, isn't it? Is weight classes. You know, see, boxing has it every 2.5 pounds or so, and then MMA, you know, you're jumping 20 pounds at some weight classes, which is monstrous.
Crazy.
That's a different human. That's not, you know, it's a completely different thing. So, are you going to maintain competing in jiu-jitsu and try kickboxing and Muay Thai while trying to chase the MMA as well? It's all components. Or are you going to try, like, if you get the fights in MMA, it's just MMA. That's the path now, because as you say, you've been chasing it for 4 years.
Like, it's funny, because obviously my goal for this year was to kind of put grappling aside, and I was going to focus only on MMA. But then it was so hard for me to actually get matched at MMA that I kind of went back to grappling. And as soon as I decided to do that, I got offered MMA matches like the same day. So I was kind of like, what am I doing? And obviously, at some point, I kind of felt like my heart wasn't really fully in grappling anymore, just because of the frustration of not being able to fight MMA again, because that's really what I want. So I kind of felt like, oh, I'm just doing grappling to kill time again. So I kind of made a full look. Because obviously I kind of stopped MMA to get better at grappling, but now I wanted to put grappling aside to do more MMA, and then I had to go back to grappling again. So I kind of felt like, why am I doing this? But obviously I'd like to focus on MMA mostly. I did get offered a few kickboxing Muay Thai fights in the last couple of months, and I did accept them, but there were some issues with like matching me and the weights and stuff. So and and I'm not like super desperate to fight striking. So if there's a good opportunity, I'll take it and I'll train for it, because it kind of goes in line with what I want to do in MMA as well. And
Mhm.
same goes for grappling. If there is a good opportunity, I'd like to do that, but only if it's like, decent shows, decent opponents, something that would actually challenge me. I'm always like, looking out for things like this, but my main goal will be MMA for the foreseeable future, especially once I turn pro.
What's the end game for your pro MMA career? What's the goal looking like for you realistically? So
Oh,
how old are you at the moment? You 20, late 20s?
20, 29,
29. Okay, so
fresh
you're in the
29.
fresh 29. So you're in your pomp for you got some years now in your pomp.
I mean, I'd like to be at like the top leagues, top five in one of the, biggest promotions in the world in the next 3 years. That's my goal.
Actually, yeah.
I would like to, get that UFC belt in the next 5 years. Obviously time's ticking. So I'd like to, and that's why I want to move forward as fast as I can. That's why I want to kind of push that pro debut. It's kind of like risky, maybe, going fighting pro when you're like 1-0 at AMI, but I just can't waste any more time, and I believe in my skills, and I know I can make it if I have the right opportunities, the right people around me. I will make it work. So I just need to get those opportunities and surround myself with those people.
You say about time as well, but there's a lot of not just females, but athletes in general that are pushing, late 30s, 40s because
Yeah,
of nutrition these days. Like it's so much different than it was 15, 20 years ago, where
I think so.
everyone's out of shape. That's the major difference, isn't it, with combat sports in general, is especially MMA, is there's no Tank Abbots anymore. There's no giant fat guys with gloves. The Roy Nelsons are gone now. It's just shredded people everywhere that are
Yeah.
cutting so much. They're doing everything they can to make a weight, but they're in physical condition, so they're amazing. So as long as you don't cut yourself to probably like straw weight,
No, definitely
I
not.
think I
Someone
think
asked
I
me.
think you're good. I
Someone
think you're
asked me
good.
to fight at strawweight like a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, absolutely not.
Cut your legs off and maybe.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's just not doable. Like I think, like I've probably got more muscle than like 51 kilos.
I love it. So are you currently watching a lot of MMA at the moment then?
Whenever I got time, yeah. Like I usually like what I've been watching recently. Like obviously UFC, I try to follow it. If I can't watch it live, then I watch it the next day. Like if there's some good fights, I don't watch all of them. It's just sometimes it's too much. I don't have the time. Like Bellator, Cage Warriors. Like I've been following these promotions, but there's like some smaller ones as well. Like the French one, what's it called? Like
Oh, Aries.
Aries. Yeah, Aries. I've
Aries is
watched
brilliant.
that.
Yeah.
The yeah, what's it called? The I forgot. What's it called in Abu Dhabi? The Abu Dhabi Warriors,
Oh,
is it?
Brave.
Yeah, no, Abu
Brave.
Dhabi Warriors, is it?
Oh, there is that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
There's so
What's the
many in
other
the
one?
Middle East.
There's so many like little promotions, and they kind of tend to stick them on the Fight Pass now. So I'm like, well, if there's something live, I'll just click on it, watch it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that, there's the MMA kind of is growing so fast. There's so many new promotions.
Yeah. Have you got a female fighter that you kind of aspire to almost replicate in any way that you've taken inspiration from, or is it just your own style and not focusing on anything like that?
Um, I don't think like I copy people's style or I aspire to be like them, or I like a super like study, like super nerdy
Yeah.
study the game and then try to implicate like copy it. But I'm a big fan of Valentina Shevchenko and how she fights. I
Yeah.
really think she's an amazing fighter, super well rounded. I'm a big fan of her striking, her grappling. I think she's great. And I'd love to fight her one day. I'd love to be at that level to actually be able to fight her. I do well. I used to love watching Joanna and Jacek fight as well. Like obviously because of her striking, it's just so technical, so good.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're
but there's so
probably the
many.
only person that can pronounce her name correctly.
Yeah,
That and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. It's those two, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, there's so many up and coming fighters as well. Like even in the UK, there's a couple of women that will be really fun to watch. Whenever they fight, I tend to tune in, and I think they can go far as well. So it's nice to see that. But yeah, like there's lots of women that actually make it fun now. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all my questions, by the way. You've done it. You survived it. You survived
nice.
the interview chinwag. Yeah, but no, it's really nice talking to you anyway. But it
Yeah, nice
doesn't have
talking
to
to
be
you
the
too.
full hour or anything like that. normally. But no, it's I can't. I honestly can't wait to see. Because when that first fight, I like to see low. I watch so much. I go to every Cage Warriors. I go to every all these low level shows. The golden tickets. If they were closer to me, I'm obviously the others. Like probably about an hour from where New Wave is. If you drove
Okay, that's not too bad.
like yeah, but like, I'm the other side of the river.
Okay.
The good side. But
Well, I don't know which one's good. I rep Southside.
yeah. So if all these competitions that are up north, I need to get to more of those. But again, when you work full time, it's hard. I know, but
Yeah.
I honestly can't wait to see what happens, because I'm sure you'll probably be on. I'm repping it right now, the Cage Warriors t-shirts,
Hey.
but I'm pretty sure you'll probably show up on something like that again, like especially the Cage Warriors East Stand in Colchester, because they do a lot of amateur pro combinations, don't they? And
Yeah.
you've got Battle Arena, obviously, that you've already fought on, but
Yeah.
it's just I really feel for you, because not only is it hard for MMA in general for women because of the standard and the quality and the actual numbers, there aren't that many fighters, so it's hard for you to get a fight that way. But getting
That's
one
true,
to
but
actually
like
match
my manager and a few other people, they've been trying to match me with people from Europe as well. Like most of the opponents, they kind of found there were people from other countries like Iceland, Norway, France, like anywhere, Poland, like loads of different countries in Europe, and even that is difficult, which is kind of insane.
It is, isn't it?
Because when Bolander pulled out, we literally spent like this entire 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks trying to find an opponent. This is why I still made weight. This is why I still can't. This is why I still continue my camp, because I believe to the very last minute that someone's gonna step in, but that just didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's the guy, and that's the thing. And you're looking to you're more than willing to fight abroad, I'm assuming. You even travel, but if when it's amateur and you're not being paid, that's out of your own pocket now.
Yeah, but as long as you travel, your hotels, everything's covered for you. It's just an experience. You're gonna get to travel to a different country, fight there. What's the problem with that? That's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. Just as long as it's not in Australia,
I would
straight away to fight, for low level. But yeah, no, honestly, I can't wait to see it, and I like watching all your social media as well, seeing actually the training, because you're ragdolling everybody. Well, I don't know if you're selective. That's selective footage, but all the footage you put out, you're ragdolling people, so it's cool to see.
That's why I don't put that much in.
No, hopefully I actually can come up to New Wave. Not too long.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Yeah. I'll bring a camera as well. I won't have to roll then, so and get strangled.
Why not?
I'll strike. I won't. I've been doing Muay Thai for many years, but I can strike. I won't grapple with you. I've seen what you can do. But yeah, it'd be good. But no, thank you for joining me anyway. Thank you for coming on this.
It's good talking to you, anyways.
No, lovely to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you too. Perfect.
Well, have a nice rest of your day.
You too, and probably speak to you soon then.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Thanks,
cool.
Kate.
Take care.